It's Do Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Do Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? We started off yesterday shaking the Monday morning blues with the Do Time crew. And we talked about things that couples can do that they rarely drift apart. Yes, some of those habits that, they have nailed and they are still together after so many years when other people have broken up. Well, it was an interesting list because the Do Time crew weren't saying the things that I guess the experts thought that they would say. One of the things that the experts thought that, these couples use to keep together, they accept that perfection isn't real. And it's so funny because it seemed like each thing the Do Time crew went in the opposite direction of. So I'm going to go in the direction of where the experts would have wanted you to go. Okay? All right. So accepting that perfection isn't real is to believe that the person that I have met is absolutely the perfect person. They can do no wrong. They are just this man or this woman of my dreams, and they realize that they're only human and they make mistakes, and that I'm gonna have to work through some things with that person the same way they are understanding that I'm not perfect. There are actually some people who get married, get involved with people for the long haul, who believe that, this is supposed to be the real deal when they don't do anything incorrectly. And, pretty much what they're saying is these two people go into the relationship understanding that that's just isn't the truth. All right. That's real, that people gonna be people, and you're gonna have to make adjustments for each person that you're with. Yes, they met me, and you got to take me as I am. No, you have to adjust because everybody isn't going to take what you are offering. Okay, all right. Well, one of the other things that they said was they breathed out negative emotions. No, they don't. They don't. It's not that they don't hold, what it is that they have to say because they're timid or they're afraid to speak their mind, but they take it to the Lord in prayer, possibly, if they're Christian people. And just some people, whether they're Christian or not, they're just not argumentative. And they understand that, I'm going to find the positive and I'm going to help that person work on the negative things. They don't breathe out negative emotions means that, everything, my grandmother used to say, everything that comes up can't come out. You have to hold some things. You can't say every single thing. And again, it doesn't mean that you're not speaking your mind. Like, oh my goodness, you're over in the corner and you're really not saying the things that you feel and you're keeping everything bottled up. No, it means that there's a time and place for everything. And again, understanding that that person isn't perfect, I'm not going to be spewing out everything that's negative. Think about it. Acknowledge that positive things in your relationships and build on them. Yeah. Again, was there anything positive when you got started? Because sometimes I have to ask couples in counseling, well, what got y'all together? And it's so funny because many of my counterparts say the same thing. I have heard therapists and counselors look at the couple in a movie or on TV, or and they say the same thing. It's like, okay, well, what got you here? What got you started as a couple? You had to have seen some positive things in the person. I'm sure this, stop the opposites attract. That's just garbage. But there's some positive things that went on in the relationship. And to sit and look at you two right now, you wonder, well, did anything go right in the beginning? Because those are the things that you're going to have to fall back on at times. Oh, yeah. I remember why. Now, I'm not saying in the least bit to stick around and deal with someone who is impossible. As they always say, sometimes the representative shows up. But listen, let's be honest. If you've dated or courted, whatever you want to call it, for a certain amount of time, that representative had to have just kind of maxed out. Yeah. If that representative didn't max out before you married them, then you didn't date long enough. Yes, you didn't date long enough. You didn't spend enough time with that person. All the time that you spent with the person, it wasn't quality time. You just spent time making googly eyes at one another. Yes, it goes down just like that. So they take the positive things and they build on them. And these are the things that help them keep from drifting apart. Another component is they say, open yourself to the possibility of change. Again, just because this is the way you may have started, it's not the way that you should end. There's no reality there. Open yourself up to the point where you are going to have to make some changes in you in order to make this relationship work. This is not the person that you used to be with. Sorry, this is not Sally, and she is not taking your nonsense. This is not Joe, and he's not taking the things that you're willing to give up. And no. All right, so that's another thing. Focus on how you want to see yourself in a relationship and in your life. What do you want in this relationship? How do you see things going? Then sometimes you're going to have to make the adjustment to make it happen. Now, again, these are all the components that people use to keep themselves from drifting apart. Now, by no means am I saying to accept, garbage and abuse and disregard and disrespect. This has nothing to do with any of that. If that's the case, then this may not be the relationship for you. Well, if those are the things, it is not the relationship for you. But we're talking about things that people do to keep from drifting apart. And one of the things that we have to keep in mind is that you're in a relationship. It is not just about you. It is about you and another person. And when you decide that you're going to get into this relationship, make sure that certain things exist. And then when you make the decision to get into that relationship, then these things will work. These things will not work without making sure that certain things are in place before you even jump in with both feet. Okay? All right. Well, our switch tip was in effect yesterday, and stop being a person pleaser was the switch tip. Now, it again goes right along with our conversation. Stop being a person pleaser. These things that we just got finished talking about, this is about you doing the right thing. This is not you cowering down to the person that person wants you to be. The only person that you should be looking to be in alignment with and to make happy is God. That's it. That's it. Because people are very fickle. They want something today, and then in 2 days later, they want something else. And they can't make up their mind as to what they want. They are into the social media. They are into what influences them by looking at what everybody else is doing. And therefore, they'll want you to make those adjustments. And that's not reality. So you can't be a person pleaser. All righty? All righty. Well, that's how we spent our Monday. I suggest you go back and watch or listen. And if you missed it because you forgot, then that's why you need to hit that subscribe button, and make sure when you hit the subscribe button, you hit that notification bell. So each time we get ready to go live, you are notified. Okay? All righty. Well, today is Let's Talk About It Tuesday, Church Folk Day. And I do have some stuff that we can talk about. Well, my Due Time crew is always in place, and I'm sure they got some stuff to talk about as well. So go get that healthy breakfast. Go tell somebody that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph. It's on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
Every disease except death. Almost all chronic disease can be traced back to an underlying virus or bacteria. Lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, fibromyalgia, multiple sclerosis, vitiligo, fibroids, and even some cancers can all be directly linked to hepatic virus strains. Tonsillitis ear infections, IBS, SIBO, and Crohn's can all be directly linked to Streptococcus or E. coli. And when a pathogen isn't the root cause, it's almost always heavy metals, brain issues like autism, ADHD, dementia, or PANDAS in children. It's all directly linked to mercury or aluminum. And the reason black seed oil is so effective in all of these conditions is because it's highly toxic to these virus and bacteria strains, and also helps to chelate heavy metals out of the body. Whether it's Epstein-Barr virus, HHV6, HHV7, or gnarly bacteria, black seed oil directly combats these pathogens, rids your liver of heavy metal toxins, and stimulate your lymphatic system for deep healing. If you have a loved one, share this with someone who needs to hear this.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and we are into Tuesday. Let's talk about it Tuesday, Church Folk Day. Oh yes, the week is underway. June is in effect already, the 10th of June. Oh my goodness gracious, time is flying by and is not waiting for anyone. Okay, so I hope during that break you went and told somebody that It's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on, because we definitely want all of the people to get involved, and we don't want them to miss a thing. Okay, if you're in the room, you know how I like to do every morning. I want to say good morning, but I don't know if you're here. I can see I got people watching, so make sure you just give me a ring, and let Pastor Steph know you're in the room. Let me say good morning to my brother Terrence. Good morning, my king. How are you, Terrence? Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How's mom? Haven't seen her these last couple days. Please let her know we're missing her. Okay. Good morning, Kenny. Good morning, my queen. How are you? Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. We got our girl Teresa in the house stopping by. Hey. Good morning. How are you, Teresa? Good morning, Lady Tamika. Thank you so much for joining us on this side of the fence. Yes. Good morning, Serge. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Hey, and good morning, V. Good morning, Vivian. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we must always say good morning to the ladies that hold it down for us on our Facebook Live and our YouTube Live. Let's say good morning to our ladies, Shantice. Hey, Shantice. I wanted to put some tape over her mouth yesterday, but hopefully she's smiling today. We gotta say good morning to our girl, Anika. Good morning, Anika. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, I've been waiting for this moment. It's great. Good morning. I'm so glad. You've been telling me you've been out there, and I know it's not always easy to kind of get those words out, but oh my. Good morning there. And I surely hope you're doing well. Let me say, I am so sorry I missed your birthday on Sunday. I didn't remember someone else's birthday until it was like 11 o'clock. Oh, I felt so bad. And then when I woke up yesterday morning and I saw that I didn't see your text until later in the day. I didn't get a chance to look at my text in the morning. So I want you to know that I love you. Thank you so much for always checking in with us in the morning. And I hope you had a wonderful birthday. All right. Hey. All right. So you know what we do every single Tuesday morning. We get some miscellaneous list and we just run through it and we get you involved because it's Let's Talk About It. So I found one list that I thought was really, really good. And they are talking about what became of the bullies in their life. Yep, the adults are talking about what happened to the bullies. You know, these people, they push you down in more than one way. They roll all over you in more than one way. And sometimes it just don't work out in life for them. Well, sometimes, you know, they have to face what goes around, comes around for their bullying days. I would believe so. So let's see what some people say have happened to the bullies in their life. She always made fun of me and turned my two best friends against me. I saw her at a reunion a few years ago. She approached me with that familiar nasty look on her face, like she was going to make some snide comment with the intent to humiliate me. I pretended to have no idea who she was, then hit her with, "Oh, you're the one who got pregnant in the 10th grade." Then I walked away before she could respond. We graduated almost 30 years ago. Ooh, did you really say, you're the one who got pregnant in the 10th grade? Oh, that was that. Wow. You know, sometimes you just want to get a bully back so bad, man. So listen, if you were able to see someone who bullied you back in the day, let me know what happened. Let us know what happened when you ran into them. All right, let's see if you got any sweet justice. Okay, I know. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I know, but dang, the opportunities. All right, my school bully is still teaching at my high school. The fact that he's still allowed to teach just sickens me. Okay. There was a girl who decided to start a rumor that I asked her to prom, thus making me a giant lesbian. I got spit on, hit, and pushed around, and I eventually dropped out in the 10th grade because of her. One of the girls who instigated the worst of it later tried to friend me on Facebook when I had one. I looked at her profile and it turns out she has a wife. I never did get an apology. Wow. So who turned out to be the lesbian? Wow. Terrence says she was later. Let her know you have the upper hand. Yeah, I know. Sometimes, again, like that sweet justice I was talking about. Now you let people know who's in the driver's seat. Let's see. Good thing I was never bullied at all. I always knew how to fight. Okay, all right, Terrence, all right. Shanti says, I ran into one of my bullies as an adult and she wanted my number to keep in touch. We've been able to speak and now we're cool. Won't he do it? Serge, won't he do it? Wow. All right. Interesting. Let's see what other stories are told. The only person I remember bullying me in high school is now my husband. He was naive then and realized I wasn't so awful. We've now been together for 21 years and married for 15. He's a great husband and father. People can change and grow. So sweet justice, right? That's sweet justice. Look who you married. Right there. All righty. I was bullied throughout school, all the way from elementary through high school. Oh, woo-woo. One particular bully called my parents one day out of the blue, apologizing for what he'd done. It turns out he went into the military, and I guess getting bullied during training made him realize what an a-hole he was. However, in my opinion, it was too little, too late. The damage was already done. No amount of apologizing will fix what was broken. Oh, listen, they should follow Shanti's. Yeah, Jesus can fix anything. All right, so wish we could write back to that person, but we can't. But for those of you, and I'll say this again at the end, Jesus can fix anything. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. All right. One of my former bullies is a stand-up comedian actor. He apologized, invited me to one of his shows, and said I could heckle him if I wanted to. Okay. I was viciously bullied by multiple people through my childhood and teens for all my weird traits, which eventually got me diagnosed as autism. Also, I was really tall and therefore an easy target. One of my bullies actually became a social worker. I don't know if she's changed, and I don't care. This woman used classic abuser tactics on me, isolating me from my family and friends, telling me nobody would care about me like she did, and taking me on her dates so I could see what it looked like to be desired. She was evil. Now she's a social worker. Yes. Let me tell you something. Real social workers. Yeah. All honesty. Real social workers, you have to have a big heart. You have a big heart. Social workers really care about people. And probably what happened is maybe she doesn't know how to get in touch with this person that she is this the one that said viciously bullied? Yeah, that she viciously bullied at one point. And maybe what she decided to do was make it her life's, journey to fix other people's situations because she did such bad things when she was younger. Yeah, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised how your careers sometimes mirror what you've been through in life. Yeah, big time. So yes, for those of you who may have had, that experience, and you look at people like, yeah, now they're a pastor, or yeah, now they're a doctor, or not. Yeah, sometimes that, I believe God uses that to drive you into where he wants to use you. And she should maybe try to find this person because she remembers what she did. People don't forget what they did. Not no, no, not in a million years. People don't forget what they did. Let's see. My bully won the lottery and retired early. I'm not kidding. Like most lottery winners, I hope his life was a mess after that. Sorry, not sorry. And maybe it is. Because yeah, lottery winners don't have any peace. Nope. I'm on good speaking terms now with one of mine now. Here's a Shantice in the room. She was also the only one at my 10-year reunion who gave condolences for my dad's passing. Ironically enough, she recently made a post about how her daughter is being bullied in school. And she just can't believe people would be so cruel. I kept my mouth shut. Yeah, give her 5 more minutes. She'll remember. Yeah. My bully is a nurse. Didn't I just say that? My bully is a nurse in the NICU at our local children's hospital. I had a baby in February who had to spend a week in the NICU. I was terrified that I would see her and she would be the nurse to my baby. I seriously wouldn't have put it past her to neglect my baby over her hatred for me. I spoke to my husband and mother about it when I went into labor, knowing because my baby was coming early that she would end up in the NICU, and I wanted to know if I had the right to ask for a new nurse. They both told me not to be dramatic and get over it because a nurse couldn't be so cruel. Little did they know all the things she did to me over many years. Again, some people say a leopard never changes its stripes or spots, whatever. But again, she might be in that NICU to try to make up for the things that she did. I'm telling you, people, you don't know how God fixes people's hearts. Now, if she sees this woman, she should apologize. And I'm sure at that point, she would have made that woman feel real comfortable about, taking care of her baby. One of my main bullies is now in the army and posts pictures of himself with guns all too frequently. He's probably still a bully. I sold her my childhood home. Why? Because we grew up. A family needed a home and I had one I didn't use. Wow. Blessings on blessings on blessings. Wow, that was interesting. One of my worst ones is now a judge in Texas. I shudder to think about it. Again, another area where you can make a difference. Should these people, try to seek out the people that are bullied or that they bullied? Yeah. Social media is out here. And listen, if they themselves are not on social media, because everyone's not on social media, then there's a possibility that a sister or brother, maybe even somebody's mama, cousin, somebody is on social media, and you can possibly change. I have my own, testimony about being bullied. I was, oh my goodness, bullied one time. It was so bad. It etched in my brain forever. And I saw it was 2 people. One I never saw again. Never. One I saw periodically. And whenever I saw him, he would run. Oh my goodness gracious. I would look up one minute and I'd see him. And the next minute I'd look up and he'd be like going, I'm like, Dad, where'd you go? It was guilt. Well, only to go to my high school reunion and end up talking, to people right around him, and didn't know whether he remembered or not. Because some people etch things out of mind, but they remember. People remember. Well, it was a 3-day reunion. They always do it in 3 days. And the 3rd day, I was sitting down, minding my business, looking through one of the yearbooks, and he actually walked up to me and apologized. He said, Stephanie, I'm so sorry. I was a stupid kid, and what we did was really cruel. Yeah. So look at, and it was 28 years later. I always tell the story because I want people to understand that, yes, both of us could have been dead and gone. And like I said, I had run into him a few times, never speaking, because if I wanted to speak, I couldn't because he was gone by the time I spotted him. Or he spotted me. But in due season, God did leave us both here and give him an opportunity to apologize and make it right, and give me an opportunity to say, you know what, I accept your apology. And he was so surprised. And I said, thank you for your apology. He said, no, thank you for receiving my apology, because you could have really blew me up out here. You really could have responded much differently. He said, no, thank you. So you know what? God will turn it around. God will give them their life's calling. God will do a whole lot of things that you may never, ever, ever, ever see. You may never see. And again, it just might drive you to why you are who you are in your career field. Yeah. So you never know. All right, let's see. Shanti says, why are they, Pastor Steph? I will take care of them. Oh, she said, where are they, Pastor Steph? Ha ha. Thank you, Shanti's. Thank you. No, but you know what? The other person could be dead by now. I don't even know. I don't know. I just every once in a while I look up the person on social media, and they have a very common name. And needless to say, a million of them come up, but I never see that one. So, and then you know what? Not everybody is, on social media with their real name. And if I did what they did back then, and I hadn't apologized, I might not be on social media with my real name either. So, you know what? Let God fix your heart. For those who were bullied, let God fix your heart. And, again, bullies bully a lot of times because they're being bullied. It does not justify what they do, because there are people who are out here killing themselves because they've been bullied. So this is serious. This is not when we were bullied years ago and we just, ate it. So, Ketty says, I know Shantice would have taken care of that bully for you, Pastor Steph. Yes, Ketty. If Shantice would have her way, she surely would. Thank you. All right, what we talking about this morning? Let's see where we get started. There's one story that's been going on and on and on and on for, I believe it's about a week now. And I said I would finally talk about it. So I want to see if I can talk about bullied. Whoa, yes. They have a story where they say dozens of people were rescued from 2 illegal care homes where they were subjected to brutal mistreatment. Oh my goodness, this is in Bulgaria. And this judge described the facilities as a house of horrors. There were a couple of these facilities, and they said these people were beaten, bound, and sedated. They say some 75 people were removed from 2 facilities, and they had converted these homes into health centers and offered rooms for rent for little than, a couple of dollars a month. And they said that they came off like a ministry, but they have deplorable conditions in these facilities. And the victims were, they had to be transported by ambulances. Oh my goodness gracious. So here's the deal. They were saying that in Bulgaria, they're having a hard time as these people are getting older, much like the rest of the world here in the United States as well. They have where people have a little bit of money, but they don't have a place to go. They don't have family. And they end up going into these homes that these people have converted. So they've taken some empty homes and they've converted them again into like health centers, places where they have promised people that they would take care of them. If you're older or if you're ill or if you really can't, take care of yourself, maybe some like assisted living place. And they say 19 people were rescued from one of the locations and 56 from the other. They say that this has become a really, really big thing out in Bulgaria. And they say 5 people have been arrested and they are being charged with kidnapping, violence, and negligence. This has been going on for 4 years. They're just catching these people. And they say another resident who tried to leave, they were caught, beaten, and left unconscious. And this has been something that someone has been talking about, but no one paid attention to it. And they said that their feet were tied, they were sedated, locked in rooms, and would be without bedding at times. And in one of the rooms, the window handles had been removed and cut off. These people have been cut off from the outside world. How do you treat people like this? It is, they are locking up people for mistreating animals. And this is not too much different than the way they've treated these people. They say a lack of facilities for older people and ill people is the reason why there have been the development of these illegal centers. Oh boy. So prayers up for the people who have been subjected to this treatment, seeking refuge, seeking care, seeking just a place to live. You're paying your money and you're in a room where you've been bound, sedated, not fed. They don't even have bedding. You didn't took the knobs off the windows. Like, yo, what are you doing? Oh my gosh. All right, what else are we talking about here today? Okay, so you've got this young guy, and now he's been arrested. D'Angelo Mitchell, 27 years old, who's been arrested on 1 count of murder in the 2nd degree. This is a weird story. So they say the victim was found with a lone gunshot wound to the head right outside the front door of Mitchell's 2nd floor apartment in Memphis. Now, here's how this story goes. Nice, short, and sweet. They had gotten into some kind of an argument, and they had been dating. This was a woman. And they say this woman has 4 children. They had been dating. And somehow or another, after they got into the argument, she left and came back and was knocking on the door. He opens the door. He said it was some guy with dreads and shot her. Now, you're supposed to be dating this person, but you don't recognize this person. You think that the woman is a man. He says, when the door opened, the defendant squeezed the trigger and said, because he thought he saw a man with dreads. And then without recognizing who he shot, he disposed of the shotgun and left the scene. So I had to chase him down. Lies. Lies, lies, and lies. Ain't nobody believing this nonsense. Ain't nobody believing this nonsense. It says the victim was actually his girlfriend, found by her brother while he was leaving for work. And the same brother also told the police that he had threatened to kill her and her 3 children. Well, 3 of her children, 1, 3, and 6. See? Lies. Lies, lies, and lies. Come on, ain't nobody gonna believe you thought that was some woman who, some man who had dreads. You've been sleeping and dealing with this person and you don't recognize them? Stop. Well, the children are now with her dad, and the father says that he didn't tell her that there had been some issues. And he said he didn't even know she was dating this guy. And look at what happens when we keep the secrets. Look what happens when we keep the secrets. Oh, so now these babies, 1, 3, and 6, and she has another child. They don't have a mother. And who knows if they have a father in their life, because this could have been an absent father situation as well. Oh boy. If we stay on our knees praying for all of these people and their situations, we wouldn't be doing anything else. I tell you, these people are ridiculous. Oh my goodness. All right. So there's another situation here. Now, maybe y'all have been keeping up with this. I've been seeing these headlines it's been about almost a week now. Yes. And it's been quite a few days. And it's about the LA riots. I'm calling them LA riots because of the ICE raids. Now, here's the interesting part. Let me pull up my other story here, because I thought this was really, really interesting here. So you have these raids, these raids, right? I was right. These raids that have been going on. And what they've been doing is they have been going to these people's workplace. They have been going to different housing complexes and all kinds of things to where they have been told, or they figure the illegals are. And the bad part about this is it has now come to a head, and it's become really, really a nasty situation. Now, the problem is the people out in LA, they saw ICE converging on this location, and they got involved. And I guess they figured they were at the point where they were tired of seeing ICE raid these places and take off these illegal people. However, the problem is this particular time, there were some real criminals. And I'm trying to locate my, I think I got it, my article that talks about the criminals. Yes, criminals that they arrested. And they're saying, listen, the mayor is involved. They have all these, they said up to 800 people at one point protesting. But they don't realize in this particular case, they've got 49-year-old, I don't even know how to pronounce his name. Let's call him Fawn. He was arrested and he was a major criminal. Now, here's the thing that I couldn't understand. They're listing all of these criminals that they have arrested. But my thing is, how did these people get away? Where have they been all this time? Because they seem to have some criminal history on them now. So my thing is, well, where these people been hiding out that y'all didn't know where they were all this time? Now, they say one of the criminals is 55-year-old Rolando Enriquez from the Philippines, who was sentenced to 37 years in prison for assault with intent to commit rape and sexual penetration with a foreign object in Pomona, California. Well, where he been? I don't understand. Somebody needs to help me understand this news because I am so far behind now. I'm trying to figure out. They are listing the major crimes these people have committed. They say they are gang members, terrorists, child molesters, that they snatched up in this one swoop. Now, some people may say they're lying. Yeah, they're going to say that they picked up all these people. Listen, here's the bad part. We do know that one of the things that we talked about here on His Due Time was the fact that y'all were letting all these people in the country, but they weren't vetted. There were no real background checks being done. Who were you allowing to come into the country? And when you allow this influx of people to come into the country, now they kind of smother the illegals that have been here, who are also, have been living criminalistic lifestyles. So now you're on this tangent and this vengeance from all of the stories. Innocent people have been swiped up, which we predicted. Young people, which we predicted. People who should have been picked up a long time ago, predicted. And now they claim in this one swoop, they've got this Delfino Martinez, 51, who is a Mexican national with conviction for assault with a deadly weapon with great bodily injury. He was arrested on Friday. 55-year-old Lionel Laguna, a Mexican national, was also arrested over the weekend. He has convictions for firing a weapon at an inhabited dwelling, battery of a spouse or cohabitant, and willful cruelty to a child. He also has a DUI to his name, along with assault with a firearm. You've got 32-year-old Victor Aguilar was also arrested. The Mexican national has California convictions for possession of controlled substances and paraphernalia, along with assault with a deadly weapon. You've got 44-year-old Armando Ordaz, who is a Mexican national, who is allegedly a member of the Bratz 13 gang and has an LA conviction for sexual battery. Where these people been? Where these people been? So this country has done a poor job in getting these people and keeping them in jail, because they sure don't have them for escaping. So where these people been? So now here's the uproar. The uproar is you've got all these protests. These protesters have set cars on fire. They've done all kinds of things. So now you've got this country split, because you've got some people saying that, hey, they're doing their job, and look who they've been able to capture in this raid. And you've got the other ones that say, but how many people have you picked up that were not guilty, that were just workers, which we've talked about over and over and over again, workers here who could have been left alone. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. I want to hear what y'all have to say. Let me see. Terrence says, I got to stay away from Shanti's. Oh my goodness. People are just too trigger happy. Hey, AJ, good morning. We got a good morning check-in from AJ. Serge says, my problem is they let the white South Africans come to USA who are criminals. They committed a crime by taking land that wasn't theirs. Okay. All righty. All right. Well, let's talk to Pastor Vinny and see what he's got to say about all of this stuff here. Good morning, Pastor Vinny.
Good morning, Pastor Steph. How are you this morning?
I am well, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. Well, I say better than I deserve. How about that?
Oh, amen. Amen and amen. How's Pastor Brenda?
Oh, the boo, she had to go to the dentist this morning. She chipped a tooth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she's been kind of, off the last couple of days.
Oh, okay.
Okay. She'll be okay in a little bit.
Good. Very good. All right, Pastor Vinny. We got LA going buck wild.
Woo.
Buck wild. And I have been seeing this days and days and days and days and days. And for some reason, I just refuse to open up. And then last night I was like, let me see what's going on. Oh, I picked up an article that the headline was interesting. And then when I opened it up, I realized it was connected to this whole LA ICE raids thing. Let's see where we start here, because we can go anywhere with this conversation. All right, so let me ask you, Pastor Vinny. So you have the LA mayor here who is really upset because she says that they have been going about sweeping up the immigrants the wrong way. The sweeps is what she's complaining about. And I also, as I talk to Pastor Vinny, y'all let me know, do you feel that she should be concerned with the sweeps, despite the fact that the sweeps have picked up criminals, real criminals? What's your thought?
Well, I guess she's the mayor, right?
She's the mayor. Mm-hmm.
Evidently, she hasn't been doing her job. That you have all these known. I mean, they are known criminals. These are some hardened criminals that are going throughout. I'm sure taking advantage of whatever they can take advantage of, and this didn't get her upset until the ICE came in and picked up the innocents. Sometimes the evil is just allowed to flourish. I don't know, because of kickbacks or possibly the politics involved. But a lot of times, again, you remind us that the illegals are the illegals. They don't belong here any more than the criminals. But the criminals are the ones that are doing the most damage. They should pose the most threat to our communities. Because as you read up that list, these are hardened criminals. These are guys that they have a resume.
Right.
They know who these people are.
Right.
They know who these people are. They know what these people have been doing. What they say? They're hiding in plain sight.
Yep.
They're hiding in plain sight. And so they pose an even greater danger than these illegals. Thank God that somehow they've gotten picked up. But listen, LA know how to throw a riot.
they sure do.
They know how to throw a riot. So you almost can't blame them. But again, getting focusing on the minor instead of focusing on the major. The major is getting these criminals off the streets and out of our communities.
Okay. Let's get Shantice to join us. Hopefully it's safe to talk to her today, Pastor Vinny. Let's say good morning to Shantice. Good morning, Shantice.
Hi, sweetie.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Thank you.
All righty. Now, good morning, Shantice. Now, you heard the laundry list of crimes that these people have committed that was swept up in this raid, in this riot. And these people got some real criminal backgrounds going on, and they're not old, really old either.
Right.
And they've been somehow roaming around and were able to get swallowed up in this sweep. Now, I'll ask you the same question pretty much that I asked Pastor Vinny. The mayor is really upset. Her name, I want to say her name. Her name is Karen Bass, I think. Yeah. LA Mayor Karen Bass. She is upset because she says she has not liked the way ICE has been just coming and doing their raids and their sweeps and things like that. There are too many people that have been caught up that have not been guilty of anything. And now here we are. They caught at least 6 hardened criminals in this sweep. Do you agree with the way they're sweeping up these locations?
No, because it's still done lazy. It's not this cookie cutter, everyone is a criminal. Even if you were, so let's say you was to go to one location and you had 50 migrants. If 45 of them were criminals, and unfortunately, because the other 5 were just there, that's not fair to the other 5. So even if you were to just go and say, okay, we need to just hold all of you guys for an hour or whatever, just so we can take the time to properly go through everyone, check your credentials, check your background, check your status, if you're legal or not. If you're illegal, is it because you were too lazy to follow up with your paperwork, or is it because you really snuck here and you've been committing crimes? It would be annoying, but it would be a lot better than you just automatically deporting me just because I'm here with the other 45 criminals, So it, again, going back to, no one wants to really do their job. It's so much easier to just sweep up everyone and toss them somewhere than to do the screening. So I believe that's why she's so gun-ho about this. Like, no, but it's unfair to the few that's not, the criminals, and you're just sweeping them up with everyone. You can't do it like that.
Okay. Terrence says, you got 6 out of 600. It does not make it right. So he's pretty much agreeing with you, Shantice. Mm-hmm. Pastor KL has not gotten on yet, so he can't agree with Pastor.
He's here.
I know, but he's not on the. We haven't spoken to him yet, so Terrence can't agree with Pastor KL yet. So he is agreeing with you. Okay, he says ICE is doing things so fast and unorganized, like they have a mail in their own system. And my eyes are really blurry, so I can't really see what he's saying here. I hope I read that right. A mole. I'm sorry. A mole in their system.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk to Pastor KL, see what he has to say about this thing here. Let's see which side of the fence he's on with you and Pastor Vinny. Good morning, Pastor KL.
I've never seen so much hating on a Christian show. I've never seen that. I rebuke that. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Good morning, Terry. God bless you.
Good morning. So we have this ICE sweep, Pastor KL, and they have swept up some truly hardened criminals. I wanted to pull up this one where they said he was a part of there was one of the guys years ago. He had been in jail, and this is one of the things that kind of, here we go. So you have this fawn who's 49 years old, the three of you. They say years ago, he is a killer convicted of second-degree murder. They said after he was kicked out of an LA County high school graduation party in 1994, he returned with his gang member cronies and fired semi-automatic rifles into a crowd of 30 people, killing 2 teens and wounding 7 others. Now, they then go on to list all the other people that were picked up. That was the one who was sentenced to 37 years in prison for assault with intent to commit rape and sexual penetration with some foreign object. They've got all of these people. So my question is, you've got this one guy who was convicted of second-degree murder. How do you get picked up in a sweep? I'm still lost here. Where are these people where they've committed these major crimes? Why haven't they been in jail? I don't get it. They sure didn't say these people had broken out of jail. So Pastor KL, they out in LA, they did this sweep. And what happened was, as they were doing the sweep, some protesters got involved. They were very angry. They said they were tired of ICE doing these raids, and they got involved, and they started setting cars on fire and standing in between the cops, the ICE cops, whoever you want to call them. And now it's a huge problem. It's a riot out in LA. And one of the arguments is, listen, in all of their sweeping, y'all are complaining, but we just got 8 major criminals off the streets. Should people be upset over this? And is it okay for them to do these sweeps? Now, Pastor Vinny has his opinion. Shantice has her opinion. What do you say? Is it okay? They've managed to pick up some massive major criminals here. Is it okay to do the sweeps?
I think it is. I think it's okay to do the sweeps. Again, you're pulling up criminals. Again, you're pulling up people who are not criminals, but don't belong here. For the ones that don't belong here, that wasn't a criminal, you still had to do your own homework in getting your proper paperwork. So you're just as criminalistic. Now, for the people who are protesting and blowing up cars, they should be part of the sweep. We should be sweeping everybody. Everybody should be swept up. But I think, listen, if you want to stay, then go ahead and pay. If you have to do certain things. If I want to be, a nurse or a doctor, I got to go to school. I'm just not going to get that paycheck or have the liberty to cut somebody open, and I don't have the credentials. If you want to stay in the United States, whether you rob somebody or you selling oranges, go get your paperwork.
Okay. So I have my opinion on this as well, but let me see. Look at him. He's such a traitor. He is such a traitor. Terrence says ICE doing things so fast and unorganized, like they have a mole. Okay, so I did that one already. And then he says, tell them, Pastor K. Do you pay Terrence to be on your side?
Right.
Do you pay Terrence to be on your side, Pastor KL? Is the question.
I'll double it, Terrence. I'll double it.
Terrence said, remember, they only got picked up. Someone snitched and they were just wrong. They were just at the wrong place at the wrong time. They were hardened criminals, and they have their safe space is gone. Terrence, if you're illegal, you shouldn't have a safe space. Okay? I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
In regards to the sweeps, I think the sweeps are necessary because they have been able to pick up some major criminals here. My only concern is the way you are doing the raids, because you are picking up people who are not criminals, but you're illegal. And I just have this theory that stay out of trouble. I'm sorry. Stay out of trouble. If you're illegal, then you got something to worry about. If you're not illegal, then you ain't got nothing to worry about. And we do know that they have been picking up many people that are not illegal, that they, because of all of these credentials they won and things like that. People have had credentials and they still weren't able to get out of the way. In those cases, the ICE is just wrong. The Department of Homeland Security is wrong. The police have been wrong. So I don't have a problem with the raids. I don't have a problem with the sweeps. Just make sure you're doing it humanely. Don't go up in there, shooting people unnecessarily and things like that, because there are innocents, if you will, people who are just here illegally. They have not committed any other crime other than being here illegally. You get swept up. Terrence says you're at the wrong place at the wrong time. No, you're not. You're illegal. You need to go. You're not here. I don't know. I don't know. My theory is, I keep saying, I'm sorry. I just can't feel sorry for y'all who have come here and bled this system, and the people who are citizens here have been just disrespected. And my brain is wrapped around that. And I'm not saying that I'm irrational, I can't hear nothing else, but I don't want to see anyone mistreated, even the ones who are criminals. Is still a way that they need to be treated. We don't treat them inhumanely because they've treated others inhumanely. Do we make things difficult for them? Absolutely. You shouldn't get, the life of luxury. But yeah, I think the sweeps are absolutely necessary. Look at what they've come up with. If it weren't for the sweeps, they wouldn't come up with half these people. So, unfortunately, Trump had to come in and do things this way. They say that Obama did quite a few sweeps, We just don't know nothing about it. I believe it.
But
Again,
Obama
because
has Pastor Steph. So
and that's what I was gonna say. I believe it because sweeps are necessary. They are necessary. You have to catch these people off guard. So, you know what? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Again, the wrong people here. The only people that are at the wrong place at the wrong time are innocent people who are here legally, and I just happen to be sitting playing dominoes with the illegals. Sorry, those are the innocents. I'm here legally. I got my paperwork, or I'm a citizen. I was born here. I don't need paperwork because I was born here, and I just happen to be, meleeing with somebody who was illegal. Oh well. That's unfortunately you get caught up. Watch the company you keep. You do gang members and people and kill people, and that should be your company no way. So oh well. Terrence says, reason why I say wrong place at the wrong time is because we did it ourselves, meaning the government. We got them immigrants in here in the first place. We did all of this. We let them in. Absolutely. Now we want to do the sweet thing, clean up one mess. We should never have been in the position in the first place. Absolutely. Absolutely. You're right. The gate should not have been open for any and everybody. However, a lot of these people did not come here like that. These people here, these Mexicans that they just got finished listing, 1994, that wasn't part of this here, the last business here.
Right.
These people literally came in here literally illegally, whether it was on a boat, through the barbed wire,
a door.
Yeah, they came. Right, right. They literally came here illegally. So it's not like this last sweep, open door policy where they just let everybody in here. So it's a mess. It is one big mess. It's going to take a long time to get this rectified. Pastor Vinny, my question, how are they going to fix this problem? How can we fix this? How are we going to close this down? What are we talking about? How are we going to get this whole thing wrapped up?
Pastor Steph, sometimes you just want to throw up your hands. You want to do the Kanye shrug.
Okay.
but no, you got to start where you are. You got to start where you are. When you're cleaning your house, sometimes you want to hit one room and get it all ready, right? But no, sometimes you got to hit that room, and you have to go in this corner over here, and you got to start somewhere. But you got to make sure that you got your ducks in a row. Talking about ICE, and the people that you're picking up are illegal. You got to make sure that they are criminals. No, they're not the same. A murderer is not somebody that came here seeking asylum and couldn't wait for the paperwork. But still, in our eyes, they're still criminals. In our eyes, they're still criminals. And criminals, they got to go. Like you said, if you don't belong here, if your paper's not right, you got to go. So I guess wherever they find illegals or this certain element, it got to go. You start where you are. You start where you are. You sometimes you can't pick and choose. But like you said, you don't go to a school and pick up kids when they're coming out of school. That's horrible.
Right. Right. Right.
It has to be done with some kind of compassion. And that's I guess that's my main issue, that it's not being done with compassion. It's being done, you're just ripping families apart. The kids are waiting for their parents to come pick them up, and their parents are locked up somewhere.
Right. Right.
That is not the way that it should be done.
Okay. Pastor KL, how do we fix this problem?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, the question at hand is, are we looking for the people who are criminals, or are we looking for all these folks who are illegal? You know what I mean? We just happen to catch a bunch of criminals in the crowd with the illegals. But
Right.
when you don't do something that's illegal, you're a criminal. You know what I'm saying? These folks are illegal. They're not legal. So they're criminals. They've snuck in here. You know what I mean? They had no permission. They can't stay. I mean, a lot of this stuff y'all saying, well, they're grabbing kids and they doing all. If I rob a bank and I go to jail, they're going to grab my kids because I did something illegal. They're going to put my kids in the system. I'm sorry. These are the chances you took. These are the sacrifices you made when you decided you wanted to come over here and not get your paperwork right. These are the ramifications that happen when you don't fall in line. So no, I'm not sorry that little essay is over here. I'm not sorry about that because Maria should have thought about essay when she got here.
All right. Shantice, how do we fix this problem? Now, okay, so Pascal, thank you for that. But Shantice, how do we fix this problem?
I agree that unfortunately, I just didn't get my paperwork filled out. Meanwhile, you over here raping, killing, stealing people. And now we both end up in the same cell. Unfortunately, a crime is a crime. But they still need to itemize each person. This whole massive, because the intentions are wrong, which is why we know everything about the sweeps Trump's are doing. And it's my first time hearing about the sweeps Obama did, because Obama didn't do it for show. Obama didn't do it because he had hatred towards the migrants. He did it because it was something that just needed to be done. So if you were to do it like that and even still, separate, like, okay, so you're here because your paperwork wasn't filled out versus you who just out here you're gonna end up killing the person who didn't fill out their paperwork. We can't have y'all in the same place. We still gonna have to still gonna have to separate, you know what I'm saying? Like you in cell A, you in cell B or something, because the vicious people versus the people who, again, either because of laziness or because you still didn't do what you're supposed to do, you still committed a crime, but it's the whole motive behind it, and that's why it's done so sloppy. That's why you have them being picked up at the schools, because I want to humiliate. I want to show how I despise you. So if they were just to do it with the right intentions, then the methods would change. But it can't be done the way it's done. It's just so sloppy and out of place. And that's why some people who need to get swept are not, and some people who shouldn't are, because it's just, let's just get everybody who looks like this. And as long as you look like this, they could look at how they end up in the country they're not even from. So it's just, you gotta pay attention to what you do. You have to have the right motives, because if not, it just ends up so sloppy.
Can I say something on that? And I agree with Shantice. But and I know all you guys here are blue collar people, and y'all never got in trouble. But there was a time in my former life when I went to jail for a suspended license. And when I went to jail for a suspended license in the holding cell, it wasn't just people in there with suspended license. It wasn't a suspended license section. It was, okay, all of you who have suspended license, y'all go in cell A. No, I'm sorry. It was people in there who was criminalistics, who had stolen stuff, who had beat people, and suspended license people. They didn't separate us. I'm sorry. All I did was drive a car illegally. So now we're saying we should put people in A, B, and C places depending on your crime? I'm sorry. I didn't have that option.
I'm saying that according to, I don't know, in my eyes, it seems very, very different. And I could be wrong, like you said, by the grace of the Lord, I have not been in anyone's prison system because I just ain't about that life. But it seems to me like when it comes to these migrants, there's a level of just like, they different. Not to say like think about how even on this platform, we've spoken about they would rather get locked up here. They would rather climb through the barbed wire, get a leg cut off, and commit a crime and get locked up here than to get locked up where they come from. Because it's just way different where they come from. So if I'm a migrant and I get locked up over there because I ain't filling my paperwork and I'm in the same cell as someone who eats body parts, that's different than when I'm in a cell with someone who eats body parts here in the Americas. It's completely different. And I feel their plight because after hearing and reading certain things, it's like, woo-woo. It's like when you in school and you get put in detention. Okay, I'm in detention because I didn't hand in homework for the 3rd consecutive day. Versus I'm sitting across from the one who threw the chair at the teacher. I don't want to be in here with him. I'm sorry. I just didn't hand in the paper. Now I'm sitting here. Now I got to duck every 3 seconds because the chair thrower is in here too. No. We're going to have to separate these classrooms. No. It just seems so different in the other countries and stuff, in the continents. I don't know. Maybe just me, but it just seems very, very, very different.
Pastor Carol.
Well, let me, because I have my opinion. Pastor Vinny, do you feel the way Shantice feels, or do you feel the way Pastor KL feels? And I'll weigh in after you.
Yeah, I feel like Shantice, of course, how she feels. I mean, we got to remember also that there's a language barrier. You in a foreign country, you living off the land, you can pick your oranges right out of the tree, whatever. But you don't even know what these people are saying. Get over there. I mean, you are in a foreign place, and they expect you to understand what it is to get your paperwork in order. I mean, this is about, like, I don't. As crazy. Well, first of all, they tell you to come, freedom, America. You can live better. Nobody's gonna gun you down in the streets, in America. So you get to America, and all of a sudden, go to that line. Go on that line, and then you find yourself with 100,000 people. Nobody got no toilet paper. Nobody getting any regular food. I mean, it is bananas. It is bananas.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, this is, we laugh because this is not our world. We really don't have any concept of what these people are going through. Yeah, they don't belong here. But then you put them in this situation, like Shanti said, just to be mean and nasty. I mean, there's a point where, you got to go back, but you ain't got to be putting them through the slop and so disrespectful and, deplorable conditions, all of that.
Okay.
You ain't never been to jail, Pastor Vinny. You ain't never been to jail.
Oh, glory to God.
Amen.
You ain't never been to jail.
You ain't never been to jail. Shame on you. You ain't
You talk
never been to
about-
jail, Pastor Vinny.
I've been there to
You talk about slop.
been there to do ministry. No, I've never been a resident. Hallelujah.
You talk about slop and being treated badly, and you think that's just for the foreigners? What you think these Negroes are dealing with? These Negroes in jail singing old spirituals. I don't understand what y'all think jail is. Somebody need to call Diddy. You think Diddy in there singing? You think Diddy and R. Kelly is doing a duet?
Diddy's still able to get somebody burner to intimidate the people on the outside. So Diddy is living. Diddy's living better than some of us out here.
They all got burners. Shanti, you need to go to jail. They all got murdered. Everybody got a murder.
Excuse me. I just said ain't enough alcohol in the world for me to be up in jail. Just kill me. Just sentence me to lethal injection. Okay? No, I ain't making it.
Tomorrow, right?
Yes, I ain't making it.
All right. Terrence says they're going to fix it by taking more money from the poor, blaming inflation. We are the ones that's going to sacrifice from all of this the real citizens. And Terrence says way past the KL's telling them the truth. And it was dirty in there as well. Okay, so Terrence must have been to jail. It's okay, Terrence. I raised my hand. I have my 36 hours of being in jail. All right, so here's the deal.
My Lord.
Here's how I weigh in on the situation. I'm with Pastor KL. Hit that. Come fight me, Pastor Vinny. Come fight me. Listen.
I'm giving up that life.
I've been in jail. I can do this. Okay, so here's my thing. I was in there and I had no business being in there. Something stupid. Somebody trying to prove a point, and I spent the hardest 36 years of my life in my 58 years to live.
Hours.
What I say?
We having people think that the system them raised me. I'm on here.
No. I'm sorry.
Taught me.
No, 36 hours. 36
right.
hours. The longest 36 hours I've ever spent in my. Thank you for correcting me. 36 hours. Longest 36 hours of my life. When I went to sleep, it was two of us because it was like part of the overnight. It got late. I don't know what time it was, but I slid over in the corner and I got my spot. So I was like, Lord, I don't know what's going to happen overnight. When I woke up, the room was filled with Asian women, couple of people on that side of the fence. And I was like, well, what happened? It was just like an Asian explosion. As they were talking, I found out that they had raided a massage parlor, and they picked up the girls for prostitution. And there were some other girls in there who had done some other things. Some girl had robbed or whatever. If I had been guilty, I just have to eat this. I have to eat this with the prostitutes and the ones who stole out the bodega and the one who shot her man because he was beating on her and the one who was the Bonnie to her Clyde. If I had committed a crime, when I get locked up, I have to eat this. Crime is crime. Y'all are dying to come to this country. All these Mexicans we read about today, every single one of them, I think it was one of them was from the Philippines and one of them was from Venezuelan. But the rest of them, they kept saying Mexican. Y'all die to come over here. So you come here illegally. If you came here illegally and you didn't do a thing, you are here illegally. You have committed a crime. And if you have to go to jail, you're going to have to understand that you are a criminal. You do not have, like Pastor KO said, you do not have door A, door B, door C, door D. This is not the feds. You are not a part of the mob where you going in, you going to cook your own spaghetti and all of this kind of stuff. You going up in here with the rest of the criminals. So whether it's the people who just, trespassed and they had no business on these people's property and somebody called and you got picked up and thrown up in this cell, you are a criminal. You cannot be criminalistic and then get mad because you locked up with the heavier criminals. You have to understand that you are a criminal. I did something criminalistic. I'm gonna have to eat this thing, and I'm gonna push this into a church folk thing. Here's the problem: we commit these sins, and then it's, well, I wasn't as bad as, or God shouldn't do me like this because I didn't do this, I didn't do that. We have to understand that in God's eyes, sin is sin. And he is going to deal with you the way he is going to deal with you. We do not have the right to be sinful and then dictate or carry a picket sign as to how we should be treated once we are caught. Y'all pushed to come here. So when you pushed to come here, you knew you were gambling on whether you would get caught or not. You got caught. And now you're caught, and now guess what? You're going to have to deal with everyone else sitting up in that jail cell or in that prison, period. Is it bad? Maybe. Is it bad? Maybe not. But I feel like Pastor KL feels. I'm a criminal. You, everybody, Pastor Vinny, you brought up an issue of they've been invited to come here. That was the group that just left here. That was the group that just came. We're not talking about these people here. We're not talking about these people here who came on, like I said, through the barbed wire, in somebody's trunk, under somebody's car, in a barrel, and all of this kind of stuff. You pushed to come here. So you gambled on whether you got caught or not. And now that you got caught, you're gonna be upset, and you're gonna feel that I should be segregated and separated and categorized for lesser crime, medium crime, big crime. No, you're gonna have to eat that. And it doesn't sound insensitive. I hope it doesn't, because just like I said, that's the way God, that's the way we do. That's the way God deals with sin. You know, somebody will look and say, well, all I did was steal a candy bar. I ain't a thief. I didn't rob a bank. God says don't steal. You have to deal with however he deals with you when you've stolen something. But no, you got the gradation going on. You ain't robbed the bank. So therefore, you shouldn't be dealing with the same consequences as a person who robbed the bank, because you took the steak out the store because your family couldn't eat. So you had a reason, but they have a reason to rob the bank. You had a reason to go up in Pathmark and steal a steak. We're gonna have to eat that. And unfortunately, it is what it is. What you gonna do? You're gonna have to suffer the consequences for your actions. You came here illegally. How long you been living here illegally? How long? All righty.
Well,
wait. Terrence says was so mad I was in there for 2 days and they had the wrong Terrence. I learned a lot, and the good part was I got a lot of money out of it. So hey, Door E is available as well. See, this is what I'm saying. So you got locked up for being the wrong Terrence. I got locked up for being the wrong parent. You know, it happens to some of us.
Thank you for my name.
But at the end of the day, you know, you listen, when you sitting up in that cell, like Pastor KL said, ain't no gradation of your crime. You gonna be in there with everybody else. So I advise all of y'all who have not committed a crime, don't go out there trying to be slick.
Pastor Vinny, you keep our record clean.
Amen.
Unlike these two
Jailbirds.
Yes. We know we not. They no longer my hero and shero. I'm gonna have to find some new.
Pastor
We're gonna keep our record spotless. In the name of Jesus.
Yes.
You know, Pastor Vinny says jailbird with such conviction. Jailbird. You know, I have to honestly say, you know, what the enemy meant for bad, God meant for good. So unlike Terrence, I didn't get money, but there was something that there was a plan, and God utilized, someone else's, agenda to be a blessing to me and my family. However, I will say this. It was my sin that launched that. Had I not told God what I was going to do or what I wasn't going to do, if I had not been sinful, because I'm still eating a part of that. And I tell this story all the time. I am still eating. God had some great things come out of that, but I'm still eating. And not only me, when who said it? I think it may have been Pastor KL. And I could be wrong, could be Shanti's. One of you said the kids eat part of your sin. Was it you, Pastor KL, said that the kids eat the crime? Who said it? You or Shanti said.
I ain't spit that.
Well, the kids.
That wasn't me.
Somebody. One of you said earlier in this conversation that the kids. It was you, Pastor KL. You said the kids end up eating whatever the parent does. Too bad for the kids, because the parent, and that's what happened here. My sin has my daughter on a list that she has nothing to do with, because I was disobedient. I shouldn't be on the list, but I am. But she surely shouldn't be on the list. But again, because of my disobedience and my sin, my daughter has to eat what I didn't do. When I told God, I'm not doing that, God said, oh yeah, okay, fine. You have it your way or you have it my way. So Pastor KL is right. When we don't do as parents, when they came over here illegal and now they're sweeping up all these people, and now the children are suffering. They didn't ask to come here, but now they're suffering for the parents. So this stuff is serious. Yeah. Kenny says, I got locked up for stealing in the store. I was in a cell with people who have done different crimes, and it smelled bad. And my mom said, leave her there. Oh. That one day in jail was enough for me. Kevin says, if they do this crime, they have to do the time. So Pastor Vinny and Shantice are saying, yeah, do the time. They're just saying how they do the time. Who they do the time with. I don't know. How do we
Pastor, would you put money on my books? I mean, I'm not gonna live long enough to spend it.
Why are you in there? Are you in there because you the wrong Shantice?
No, that's what I'm saying. That's why this is why I'm thankful for my name and the spelling. Because I came across two who try to do it, and I'm like, don't be trying to set me up for nothing, because y'all ain't think of that. Stop. Y'all saw that on my social media, y'all stole it. No, I was probably in there. This is make believe, y'all. I was probably in there for smacking somebody or tripping somebody down some stairs, was getting on my nerves. Something stupid, something petty. Because I can't, I ain't never been no queen pin. I stopped dating drug dealers at 15. I ain't about that life. See, no. So it was probably something, probably something silly. Like tie somebody's shoelaces together when they got up and walked and hurt themselves. Something like that. But I can't.
No, I'm not putting no money on your books. I'm not putting any money on your books.
You leave me in there?
Especially if I told you about that.
But God told you.
Told you.
But God told you. Listen here.
No, you know what? Pastor Vinny will come and bail you out.
That's right.
Yes,
Pastor
I will.
Thank you, Pastor Vinny.
Bail you out. Because he don't want you to be with the
I can't rely on the jailbirds, because they want everybody else to feel what they feel.
That's it.
No. It's not that. It's, you know what? Again, like Terrence said, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Anything you have ever gotten in trouble for doing, I have told you not to do. So guess what? If you make that one phone call, it better be to Pastor Vinny and let him call me and explain to me what happened. Because if I hit a wrong story, I'll be waving.
Well, that's true. Because I remember when I had stole some stocks and they put us in the security room. They didn't even take us from there. And I was in there and was so scared. I picked a hole in my stocking. The hole was as big as the door. And I was trying to call everybody but Pastor Steph. Everybody. If I could have called the garbage man, I would have. I was like, this lady is not coming to pick me up. They said, after being there for about an hour, they said, whoever parents don't come pick them up in 5 minutes, going to send your book. And I was like, 917. Get her up in here now. I'm not about that. So yes, Pastor Vinny, I'll be done called you, Pastor Brenda, your garbage man, everybody, because she ain't gonna want to hear it. She ain't gonna hear it.
No. All right. So what are we saying? How are we wrapping this, this story up? Should the protesters have gotten involved, or should they have just stepped aside and allowed the ICE agents to do their job, Pastor Vinny?
Well, the thing about protesters, they don't always have the full story. All they see is ICE coming in their neighborhood and rounding people up, innocent or guilty. They don't know the whole story. So a protester, they reactional. It's the same thing with the like I pointed to the LA riots. They didn't have the full story. They knew that there was law enforcement or governors coming into their neighborhoods and wreaking havoc. So instead of them just sitting back and letting them come in and I guess disenfranchise people, they took things into their own hands. right, wrong, or whatever. They felt they were protecting their community, from whoever. So no, it wasn't right. But this is what they felt. This was their only recourse. This is the only way they had to take back what was theirs, their community. So I mean, I get it. I don't sign off on it, but I get it.
Okay. Shantice, should the rioters just step aside and let ICE do their job, or should they get involved?
No, because I was gonna say something very similar. They don't follow through as well. You're just protesting for what you see. How many protesters actually research and let it be known exactly what they're standing for? It's pretty much only the activists that do that. Like, listen, we don't agree with this, we agree with that part, but just make sure you're thorough. Blah, blah, blah. They ain't doing that. They just want to be out there with the signs to let it be known that what they see for face value, they don't agree with. So if that's the case, then you might as well just step a little over to the left and let them do what they do, because they're not being thorough and you're not being thorough either. So unless you're going to actually see this through and let it be known exactly what you feel like they should be doing, no.
Okay. Tamika says the germaphobe in Shantice will just die prior to entry.
Amen.
And Terrence says no, Shantice is in there for some man.
Oh no.
And he said, oh my goodness, he said some man from her past.
Don't act like you know.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Pastor KL, this whole thing has gotten completely out of control because the people in the community saw the ICE raid going on. They did not like it and they decided to get involved. Should they have gotten involved, or should they have just stepped aside and let ICE do their job?
Well, the first question is, are you upset because of the situation, or are you mad because Julio ain't finished your roof? And now they got Julio, you got half a roof. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think. Listen, I don't mind the protest if it's for a right reason, but when you go out there and start burning stuff, and you're just as criminalistic as the one they're trying to round up. Mm-hmm. So how are you helping? You're not even. You're just adding fuel to the fire. So you might be belong here, but you also belong there with them because you are the same. Y'all the same. So if you just have a picket sign up and you saying, "Listen, this is not good," but after you're hitting folks with the picket sign, then you're a criminal.
All righty. Amen. Amen. Thank you so much, my due time crew. I can always rely on you. Great conversation. Thank you so much for your contribution into today's conversation. We pray you have a blessed day.
You too. Thank you.
Love you.
Thank you. Love you too. Our benediction. May the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. I did ask the question, should they step aside, the rioters step aside, or should they, get involved? And in my opinion, step aside. Step aside. I agree. Rioters tend to be reactive. All they see or hear is one thing, and then they just follow through. Most protests, there are some, but most protests are not civil. It always ends up with somebody going way far and beyond what it should be. And now it goes from a protest to a riot. And that's what they have now. Anytime you're burning cars and things like that, I can tell you one thing, the person whose car was burned, they didn't burn their own car probably. It was somebody else who burned their car. So now, they are responding by creating bigger problems than the problem that's at hand. How do we stop this? Step back. Step back. My opinion, again, was the sweeps are necessary. As long as the sweeps are humane, respectful, and decent. But again, you've always got some rogue cop, military person, whoever's doing the sweep, messing things up. Or you've got somebody who's a part of this sweep who does something, and now it forces one of the cops to react or respond, and now it becomes a big mess. So trying to contain things is always difficult when you're dealing with people. How do we stop this? Again, how do we stop this? We can't control, and we talked about this, I believe, last week. We can't talk about what happens from regime to regime. So in other words, you can't stop what happened, with this president and what they did or the things that they put into place, and how the next president is going to come in and change things or want to do things different or have a different understanding, perception, or feeling about something. So, to say don't that from the beginning, it's kind of difficult because I can't control what the person before me does. The only thing I could do is seek God for how to do it going further. Well, we know this is a godless country. They're not. The enemy is the prince of this world, and that's who's in the governing seat, in our presidential seat. It has nothing to do with God in this seat. He's not a godly man. Whether God is controlling or allowing, that's something different. But we know this is not a godly man who is sitting in this seat. So anything can take place. And all he needs is to find people who share his feeling. That's all you need. People who feel justified for doing what they do. Step aside, let nature take its course. Prayerfully, the next person in line will come along and make some changes. This is a big mess, and this is going to take a long time to correct. Now, we know it's going to take a long time to correct because he hasn't even been in the seat. This wasn't even 6 months. Look how short of a time before he started shaking things up. From the moment he went the second, third day, he started deporting people, rounding up people. Yeah, he didn't waste no time on doing what he said he was going to do. Too bad God's people are not like that, where they do what they say they're going to do and follow through. This is going to take a long time to correct itself. And as long as man is man, it's going to be a mess. It is amazing. And I still ask this question. All of these people who were on that list, they were hardened, seasoned criminals. And most of them didn't have one thing that they were charged with. Most of them had multiple things, at least 2-3 things that they had been charged with. So I'm trying to figure out, why weren't these people in jail? Like I said earlier, how you sweep them up from the corner store or from somebody's apartment or in somebody's building or at somebody's job? Wow, how are they even here? Which means that, like one of them said, in the Due Time crew members, somebody wasn't doing their job. I think it was Pastor Vinny when he was talking about the LA mayor. Where have you been? You don't want ICE to do it this way, but yet where have you been that these people are walking in the streets? You should have been having some sweeps yourself when you've got these people here that have these criminal records. And that means that if they are criminalistic like this, someone else could be their victim at any moment now. These people have been convicted of heinous, disgusting, nasty crimes. So these people are literally walking the street doing what? So where were you? What have you been doing? So how do we stop this? Everybody needs to be in their rightful place doing their job. Are you in your rightful place and are you doing your job? We had a study this Sabbath. Many are called, but few are chosen. And how many people are called that just show up? But how many show up to do the right thing? How many show up and who will do the right thing? How many are going to hear the call, show up, and no matter what it takes, they're going to make sure they follow the rules. They're going to make sure they are in alignment with why they've been called, what the agenda is, and how they are going to fulfill their role in getting the agenda completed. Because everyone does not have their same role. There were 4 of us. There were 4 boxes on that screen. Everybody could have a different opinion. We just happen to be split 2 and 2. But it is very, very, very possible that at any given moment regarding any particular topic, the 4 of us could have 4 different opinions. And even if we all share the same opinion, do we have 4 views? 4 separate views? Very possible. We want to be in alignment with God. We want to be on God's page. We want to share the same view as God. And we want to carry out our assignment accordingly. Everybody does not have the same call for the same reason. And sometimes your call is different. So let's make sure we're doing everything we're supposed to do. And until then, what are we going to be doing? Are we going to be just answering a call and just, as said, the entertainer says, do things all willy-nilly? Or are we really going to keep our eye on the prize? Our job as Christian people is to go out here and disciple. First of all, there are 4 of us in that box, and all 4 of us will disciple 4 different ways. We're not going to all disciple the same way, but we will disciple. We were all discipling today. Sometimes we drift off and we have, little sidebar conversations And sometimes we'll stick straight to the matter at hand. But here's the best part. Somebody out there needs everything we're doing. So God calls us each and every day, Monday through Friday, to get the job done. And we need to show up and get the job done the way God tells us to get the job done. Please make sure that you are listening for the call. And when you answer the call, you do whatever God is telling you to do. Because any modification on your part could equate to sin. Yeah, it's that deep. It is that deep. Shanti's kind of touched on it yesterday when she said when we do things, we side with people and not side with God. God says you are on the other side because God has He has made it very clear that to be in partnership with this world is to be at enmity with me. We can't be on the Lord's side and be on the world's side, be on man's side. If we say we are on board for the Lord, then we're going to have to do it the Lord's way. Anytime we alter God's plan, it could be deemed sinful. God clearly says if we know what to do and we don't do it, if we know it's a sin and we do it, it is sinful. So the Bible doesn't give us a whole lot of out. So make sure you pay attention as to how you're getting the job done because God is watching. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit as you go through your day. Be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on the earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for always coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and helping to keep that chat room live. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship with the Lord right now because later is not promised to any of us. Please make sure you hit that subscribe button and you hit that notification bell. This way you don't miss anytime one of these ministries launch on this YouTube channel. Until tomorrow, God spares, where it's Wow Wednesday. Until then, I love you.